with me. But I sort of messed up my knee, and man, it pops a lot now, and I don't know if it's a meniscus.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our meeting of the Wake County Board of Public Education. Tonight is Tuesday, November the 12th. It is 5:40 p.m., and we're going to call our meeting to order. Looking around the room, I see we have a full contingent of board members today, so we have established a quorum. At this point, what I'd like is everyone who is able, please stand for as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. We have a special meeting tonight in our proposed agenda with a public hearing on reassignment issues. So at this point, if board members have had a chance to review the agenda, I'll entertain any motions.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Mahaffey and a second from Mr. Swanson to adopt the meeting agenda. All in favor of adoption of the meeting agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the meeting agenda has passed, and so we will proceed to the public hearing portion of our meeting. Now, when I say it's a special meeting, we don't have a public hearing at every meeting. We do have a public comment period at every meeting, and the rules for public comment and public hearings are similar, but there are some important differences. We give speakers 2 minutes in the public hearing. We also have a certain amount of time for public comment in total. What we try to do is we try to give students, particularly those on a school night, priority speaking. So we'll hear from our students first, the students in the public hearing. Then we'll hear from residents as part of the public hearing. When the public hearing is over, we'll go to our public comment period, and the same rules will apply. We will have students speak before non-students for matters related to the agenda and matters that are off agenda. Because of the number of speakers tonight, we will likely take a break after we've heard from our students during public comment to continue with our business agenda before concluding our public comment period. But we do want to get all of our students heard first so they can get back home again, so they can get back to school in the morning. All right? So then with that, let me describe a few things. For the public hearing, we are speaking specifically tonight about the WCPSS enrollment plan for 25-26. Only public comments pertaining to the enrollment proposal will be permitted during this time. Each speaker will be given 2 minutes to present remarks. Now, when you come up to the podium, you'll see a yellow light that will come on when you have about 30 seconds left on your time, and you'll hear like a single tone. You can keep going. It's when you see the red light and you hear the tone again that your time has concluded. We'd ask you to conclude your remarks because we're going to call the next speaker up. There's a little bit of language we have to recite at every meeting. This is from state law. The Wake County Board of Education meetings are conducted for the purpose of carrying on the official business of the school system. The public is cordially invited to attend board meetings to observe the board as it conducts its official business. Per Board Policy 2310, Persons who willfully interrupt, disrupt, or cause disturbances at an official meeting may be directed to leave by the presiding officer. Members of the audience should show respect for speakers by refraining from loud comments or other disruptions. Disruptions by any person or persons at a public meeting will be subject to action in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 143, 318, 17. And for those who haven't watched our meetings before, basically we want to ensure that everyone who's shown up tonight, who's come to speak, will have an opportunity to speak and be heard, and that those of you that are here in attendance can both see and hear the speaker. So one person at the podium, only one person at the podium or standing at a time when someone is speaking. And please don't make comments, even if it's in agreement or support, just that could be louder than the speaker, because the sessions are recorded and we want to hear everything every speaker has to say. So with that, we will begin our public hearing, and we'll start with our students tonight. We have one student who's come out to speak on the school reassignment proposal. I have Caitlin Trader. Is Caitlin here? Oh, I'm sorry. I had her signed up on my list as a student. Well, if there are no other students, then we'll just make Ms. Trader our first speaker in the public hearing.
She's outside.
Okay. What we can do is I do need to go to the next speaker, but if she comes in, I'll just add her back on at the end of the list. All right. So our next speaker is Jen O'Brien. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Jenna Brian. My husband and I live in the Jordan Point neighborhood in New Hill with our 3 young children. Our oldest is in 1st grade at Scotts Ridge Elementary School. The other 2 are in preschool and be aging into kindergarten soon. The latest student enrollment proposal shifts our neighborhood to Pleasant Plains Elementary, which is proposed to be a multi-track year-round school. This change poses significant hardships for our family if we are mandated to transition to a year-round calendar. My family will have school calendar mismatch for the next decade, as our base middle school is traditional. This will result in less quality time for our family overall. Less quality time impacts our children's social and emotional needs. The complexities of childhood development require stability, consistency, and family support. A mismatch of school calendars will only add to the stress of our children as they grow, navigate peer pressure, academic demands, and physical changes. In addition to the social and emotional impacts, there are financial and career impacts too. My husband and I both work full-time. This change impacts child care and forces a multi-tier approach for our child care due to calendar mismatch. This is expected to cost my family approximately $4,200 extra a year. This will also double the number of days that I have to adjust my work schedule to transport my children to and from camps, which is going to cause undue stress on my career and my husband's. During the October 15th school board meeting, it was stated that changes are not recommended for established schools due to the substantial impact of the affected communities. My question is, why is it acceptable to disrupt the established communities of Jordan Point, Jordan Manors, and Woodbury, which have been in place since 2015, and our neighbors up and down Old US 1 have been even longer? Why are our families being uprooted by this unnecessary and burdensome calendar change? Please reconsider the proposal for Pleasant Plains Elementary to be a year-round multi-track school. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Amanda Cologne. Is Amanda here? Hey, Amanda.
Hello.
Hey.
All right. Ready? Good evening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today on behalf of the families in the Woodbury community. I come to you not just as a parent, but as someone deeply invested in the principles that have long defined Wake County's public school system, stability and proximity. Since moving to Woodbury in 2020, our neighborhood has been assigned to what will now be our 4th elementary school: Balcom, Scotts Ridge, Apex Friendship, and now Pleasant Plains. Frequent reassignments like this cause significant disruption in the lives of our children, preventing them from building lasting relationships, forming bonds with their teachers, and feeling a sense of belonging with their school community. Stability is a critical component of a child's educational and emotional well-being, and we are losing it. With the opening of Friendship Station, Woodbury and Friendship Station are now connected, making it quick and safe to reach Apex Friendship Elementary schools without using main roads. This shortens our commute to just 5 minutes and strengthens community connections. Excuse me. In contrast, Woodbury is more than 6 miles from Pleasant Plains Elementary, with a commute along Old US 1, a road in urgent need of repair. This route is often congested, resulting in longer commute times that will deter families from participating in school activities and reduce community involvement. I understand that we live in a rapidly growing area, and rezoning is a complex task. However, there are more reasonable and thoughtful solutions available. Rather than moving communities like Woodbury yet again, I urge you to consider assigning neighborhoods which are closer in proximity and those under construction nearing completion to Pleasant Plains. This change would better align with Wake County's foundational values of stability and proximity. Our families are committed to being active, involved members of our children's school, but this proposed rezoning makes it unnecessarily difficult. I ask you to consider this hardship that it places on us and make the decision that reflect compassion, common sense, and commitment to building strong, stable communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Madison Hester, and Madison will be followed by Jeff Despain.
Good evening. I'm here because our neighborhood, Woodbury, is once again facing rezoning to Pleasant Plains, despite being rezoned to Apex Friendship just 3 years ago. I've submitted comments through every available channel, emailed my representative, and emailed each of you individually, and I have received 0 responses. I have to ask, who is representing our children and addressing our concerns? Imagine what this is like for our kids, what it would be like for your children. Many have already been rezoned twice. Some will have attended 3 different schools by 3rd grade. District staff acknowledges this disruption, but other than calling it unfortunate, there has been no plan to address stability for our students. Our neighborhood is fully established and one of the farthest away from the new school. Why are we, who have already been moved multiple times in such a short period, being asked to move again? Wouldn't it be fair to prioritize new and developing neighborhoods where boundaries are still fluid? Our representative has only addressed concern for her neighborhood, which was removed from rezoning plans despite being closer to the new school. Where is the equity? Where is the support for all students, not just those that sit closest to you? District staff has stated there are no plans to reconsider our neighborhood, placing the decision fully in your hands. We are approaching the final vote, but let's be clear. You, the school board, controls this timeline. You have the authority to pause, to reconsider, and to make changes. The decisions you make now will have real, lasting impact on student lives. Instead of continuing to do the same thing year after year, this is your chance to do something different. You are elected to serve all students, to ensure fair treatment, and to create stability. It is a time to find a solution to the problem rather than continuing to just treat the symptoms. Please, stop just redrawing lines on a map and start addressing the real issues. Our students deserve more than a cycle of constant disruption. They deserve representation from you, their elected officials. Thank you.
Our next speaker tonight will be Jeff Despain, and Jeff Despain will be followed by Casey O'Leary. Good evening.
Good evening. Wake County is an incredibly large school district. Maintaining our schools is very difficult work. I acknowledge and appreciate your public service. Thank you. That being said, I and my fellow neighbors from the Pearson Farm and Ashley Downs communities feel that we are being negatively impacted by the proposed enrollment plan. My neighbors and I will present different points to you tonight to highlight those pain points. Many kids that attend Olive Chapel Elementary School walk to school. Most have to cross over either Kelly Road or Olive Chapel Road. Both are very busy roads, especially at the time of drop-off and pickup. Even with a crossing guard, it's risky. Just last week, I saw a man who nearly got hit by a car. A few years ago, Apex voters passed the Streets and Sidewalks Bond, which provided $9 million towards projects that provide a safe route to school. Part of that project included completing the sidewalk from Olive Chapel to Kelly Road Park, which connects to the Beaver Creek Greenway Trail that connects to our neighborhood. Thanks to those taxpayer dollars, our path to school is the safest among all neighborhoods to Olive Chapel Elementary. And yet we're being moved to Bockham. The Pearson Farm and Ashley Downs neighborhoods are not only original neighborhood members, but also the most proximate neighborhoods to Olive Chapel Elementary School. And yet we're being moved to Bockham. Before we lived in Apex, we lived in Durham. One of the selling points for our neighborhood, Pearson Farms, was the proximity to Olive Chapel Elementary School. We daydreamed about the opportunity to use the Greenway Trail to drop off kids and pick them up from school. But now we're being moved to Bockham. My friends, no one gets excited to move into a neighborhood that has a walking trail to someone else's school. We request that we respect our taxpayer dollars to make our route to school safe and retain the value of our homes. This is just one of the many reasons that we would like Olive Chapel and respectfully request
Thank you.
to not be rezoned. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Casey O'Leary, and Casey O'Leary will be followed by Dr. Christopher English.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I know many of us here are frustrated. It feels like we've been having the same conversations for years, but I ask you to listen with a fresh perspective. You likely ran for the board to be a change maker for our students, and I hope that is still your goal. After all the divisiveness in our country, can we at least agree on one thing, the importance of keeping our communities together? Splitting kids across multiple schools has an emotional and social toll. Kids form bonds through consistency and shared experiences. When they're constantly shuffled between schools, they lose those connections. Take my neighborhood, Woodbury, for example. We're the only neighborhood in the area that has been split across 5 schools: Balcom, Scotts Ridge, Apex Friendship, and even for some, Woods Creek. And now we are being shifted to Pleasant Plains. How is that fair to our kids? How can they form these lasting relationships when they're scattered across so many schools? We pride ourselves as being a close-knit community, yet we're still dealing with the fallout from previous school transfers and separations. I understand the importance of data and projections, but those numbers don't capture the human cost. My family's had a rough year. We've gone through 10 surgeries and 9 new diagnoses between all 3 kids. And we know firsthand that life can change in an instant. So when decisions are made based on numbers alone, please remember behind those numbers are real families and children who face instability, confusion, and disruption. This plan would force over 10 neighborhoods to switch from traditional to year-round schools and year-round to traditional, despite the fact that we are actually asking for the opposite. Yet this proposal to home neighborhoods of sitting board members got the change they actually requested. How can we trust this process is truly in the best interest of all of our children? We offered alternatives and suggestions for the sake of our children and
I'm sorry, your
communities.
time has
Please
concluded.
reconsider this plan.
Thank you. The next speaker is Dr. Christopher English, who will be followed by Meg Gandalf.
Good evening. Ready? Good evening, everyone. I'm here to follow up on my detailed letter that I sent you on October 24th, which describes the favor that this board has consistently shown other Apex neighborhoods at the expense of the students in the Jordanport neighborhood over the past few years, and how this is continuing with the current reassignment plan. Over the years, Wake County Public Schools has built 3 elementary schools in Apex within about a half-a-mile radius of each other. This is great for the people who live in close proximity, but really puts an imposition on other neighborhoods that are at the end of the district. For the students of Jordan Point, currently, they're assigned to the 3rd closest elementary school, which means they're picked up around 8:10 a.m. Then they are dropped off about 45 minutes prior to the start of school. In fact, they routinely arrive at school before the doors even open to the school. They then sit in school waiting around, twiddling their thumbs for about 35 minutes. Then school starts. At the end of the day, it's the same thing. Another 35 to 45 minutes waiting around for their bus to do one route and then show up for the next. This accounts to a total of about 32 extra days spent at school. So how do you expect these children to perform when they are going to the 3rd closest school? And this is just going to continue with the assignment to Pleasant Plains on top of the change over to the year-round calendar. And again, as other people have said, this is been totally in favor of our representative's neighborhood, who coincidentally has a husband sitting on the council.
All right, thank you. That is time. All right, our next speaker is Meg Gandalf, and Meg will be followed by Bailey Butler.
Hello. In the current version of the enrollment plan, both Olive Chapel and Bauckham Elementary schools are over capacity. In discussions with the principal at Olive Chapel, while she indicated that she needed to remain neutral, she did acknowledge that we are small. She's not wrong. Pearson Farms and Ashley Downs make up barely 3% of the current student population at Olive Chapel. Earlier this week, I sent all of you an email with alternative solutions. It is my hope that you will take those into consideration. In the current enrollment plan, Pearson Farms and Ashley Downs are dealing with calendar misalignment. We are being moved from a year-round elementary school to a traditional elementary school and then to a year-round middle. These are the base schools. This will be a huge burden on families that have to juggle 2 schools with young children. But it's not just that. Presently, no Bauckham students in the proposal follow our community's feeder pattern through middle school or high school. Let me explain. In the current enrollment plan, more than 70% of Bauckham students will go to Apex Middle, and then 100% of those students will go on to high school together. Similarly, 100% of Olive Chapel students will go to middle school and high school together. But our kids in Pearson Farms and Ashley Downs will not have that same consistent feeder pattern. We will not see those Bauckham students again. Student assignment told us that they will help students and families feel connected to their new communities. But how can we feel connected to our new communities when no Bauckham students are going to follow our feeder path? Again, we make up barely 3% of the enrollment at OCE. That's a negligible amount. But the impact and change that this will have on our students is huge. Thanks.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Bailey Butler, who will be followed by Robert Trader. Good evening, Ms. Butler.
Hi, good evening. My name is Bailey Butler, and I represent Pearson Farms and Ashley Downs. In the 25-26 proposal, OCE will be at 19% capacity, and Bauckham will be raised to 112 capacity, both still projected to be overcrowded. Our community's students represent 3.2% of the OCE population, and if we move to Bauckham, we represent 4.9% of the projected student population. Per the working session, in October, student assignment stated additional enrollment at OCE is not feasible without compromising the learning environment, yet our learning environment is going to be compromised no matter what. We're going to a school that's still overcrowded. Both Susan from student assignment and from the working session in October and Terry Mahaffey from the Apex Town Council asked our community, if not us, then who? Per Terry Mahaffey's comments on Reddit, and I quote, "What are you proposing to happen instead? That Wake County public school system move to a different neighborhood? If so, which one? Why does that make more sense in your neighborhood?" End quote. To satisfy both Susan and Terry's comments, here are some alternatives. Zone the newly developed neighborhoods to the western Apex to Salem. They are projected at 77%. Or southern Apex to Scotts Ridge. They are projected at 88%. Move OCE's Cary Satellite Campus to Bauckham. They want to go to a closer school, and that's half the distance from where they are right now. Expand Bauckham's borders. Keep Seagroves at Bauckham. Move Bella Casa, who are OCE, to Pleasant Plains. And to Terry's second questions, why does it make more sense in our neighborhood? Because we are 3.2%. Moving us does not help anything. It doesn't solve any of your issues. In conclusion, moving us is insignificant. We're an insignificant population. We're moving from one cap school to another cap school, and our community, this is detrimental to our community that we've worked so hard to build. Thank you. Pay our teachers more.
Thank you, Ms. Butler. We'll hear from Robert Trader and then Jason Schroeder.
Sorry, notes, there we go. Good evening. I'm also representing the concerns of Ashley Downs and Pearson Farms regarding Olive Chapel Elementary and Bockham. I'd like to just say I have no confidence in the whatever methodology has been used to draw up these plans. You guys talk a lot about, all these pillars and stuff, but we've asked for an explanation to make it make sense, and we never get it. When we complained last time and we got the feedback PDF that you guys gave us, the address, the way that was addressed for our neighborhoods said that, oh, well, we can't keep you at Olive Chapel because you have to cross a high-speed road and a major highway. That is wrong. We do not cross a high-speed road. We do not cross any road. We do not cross a major highway. We cross on a bridge over a major highway. You might as well say, well, it's dangerous because you're crossing over high-voltage electric lines buried under the sidewalk. You're crossing over natural gas lines. What if one of your kids lights up a cigarette? It's ridiculous. The fact that we were rebutted with inaccurate, not just inaccurate, wrong facts means you're either lying or incompetent, and I don't know which one is worse. So even if you don't change your minds this time, I just hope that going forward we can have some real transparency, not just asking questions and so you're hearing us and you're taking us into consideration and then doing whatever you want anyway. Really give us transparency into your processes, please, so that we can at least say, okay, these are the numbers that you said, and this is why this absolutely empirically makes sense. Because right now, you're just giving us vibes.
All right, thank you. Our next speaker is Jason Schroeder, followed by Tanya Jeter.
Good evening, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on this very important topic. My name is Jason Schrader. I'm a father of 3 children who, in the current proposed enrollment plan, will be redistricted from Olive Chapel Elementary to Bockham Elementary. This shift disproportionately impacts a small number of families in 2 relatively small and established neighborhoods, Pearson Farms and Ashley Downs, who have been part of the also relatively small OCE community for nearly 3 decades. A number of these concerns have been articulated in previous meetings, in the petition that has been signed by hundreds of concerned community members, and a great many thought exchange posts. But there's one very important facet of this difficult problem. These are all very important facets of this difficult problem. But there's one critical component that I want to underscore tonight, and I don't think has been fully examined. These 2 neighborhoods have a predicament that's unique to us from every other neighborhood affected by this reassignment. As the only neighborhoods moving to Bockham from the current OCE community, our children are likely to switch schools with few, if any, friends, and then our middle school and high school assignments are different from the rest of the Bockham student body. So we're effectively isolating them twice. This plan ensures that our children move to a school with no friends now, and then have to do it again in middle school, which is widely regarded as the most difficult social and emotional time of our children's lives. With so few school-aged children in these low-density, mature neighborhoods, redistricting has minimal impact on your capacity plan, but will take a significant toll on the emotional stability of our children. I understand the difficulty of rezoning and all the work that you did to put this plan together. But in this instance, we believe that the minimal capacity impact, as was illustrated by several others tonight, does not justify the disruption to our community and to our children. We respectfully ask you to reconsider the reassignment of Pearson Farms and Ashley Downs. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Tanya Jeter, who will be followed by Christy Hack. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Tanya Jeter. I live in Jordan Point. I have 2 children. One is in the 6th grade, goes to Friendship, really nice, 5 minutes away. And then the other one goes to Scotts Ridge Elementary for now. My request is for you guys to go back and pause this rezone, take the feedback that we're providing you, and some other folks have provided some other options for rezoning, and spend more time on it and come back to it. Right now, we're not at the closest school. I wish we were. My kid, in the 1st grade is getting on the bus, like Chris said earlier, first in the morning, and then he's getting home close to 5 o'clock at night, right? And the traffic is not going to get better. It's going to get worse. You know, Depot 499 is going to be humongous. It's going to be tough. It's going to take more time. And if we're talking about transportation, we're talking about resources. You guys are spending more money on transportation and resources to move our kids from Jordan Point and Woodbury all the way to Pleasant Plains. So, I mean, I'd like to take that into account. I also want to, you know, if we're going to stay, or if it's not an option to move to Friendship, which I don't think it is. I wish it was. I'm asking for a traditional calendar school year, at least at Pleasant Plains. We're not being given that option. I don't know what we're going to do with our kids having so little time, you know, of overlap. I don't know what we're going to get on an all year round, you know, assignment. And if you're saying, well, you can petition and go to another school, well, I can't because we don't have transportation, right? So the other schools are farther away. Of all the people, we need transportation. We're the furthest away. So, yeah, I'm just asking you guys, please, to listen to us. We're really passionate about this. I'm also asking my district representative to do a better job at responding to our messages.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Christy Hack. Excuse me just a minute. The next speaker is Christy Hack, but I just wanted to check. Has Caitlin Trader come back in? Okay. So we're going to put you back on the agenda after Ms. Hack. Thank you. Okay. Go ahead. Thank you.
All right. Good evening. I'm from Seagroves Farm, probably arguably the smallest neighborhood being impacted by this redistricting. I'm asking you to keep us at Bockham. Everyone else doesn't want to come to Bockham. We want to stay. Leave us alone. We're just a small group of, I have a group chat going right now. There's 9 families, whopping 9 families. We have 1 bus stop in our neighborhood. We are asking that you keep us at Bockham, but if you can't, for whatever reason, send us to Apex Elementary, not Penny Road. Penny Road is in Cary. We're an Apex address. We want to be at Apex Schools. We can literally see the Apex Elementary bus stop from our cul-de-sac. Every other house on our street, Rainsview Lane, probably has 100 houses on it. Our little cul-de-sac goes to Bockham. The rest of Rainsview Lane goes to Apex Elementary. So make it make sense. Why would we now go to Penny Road? It might look like on a map that Penny Road would offer us some version of community because a neighborhood close to us goes there, but we have no sense of community with that neighborhood. It's uphill, behind some townhouses. Our community is Apex. We walk to downtown Apex. We could walk to Bockham. We're commonly at Hunter Street Park, which is a fun little playground near our elementary school. We live right off of the old Raleigh road that turns into Hunter Street. It's where my kids go to preschool who are younger, and I can just drive right down to Hunter Street. Don't take away our transportation. If you want to offer us stability, how am I supposed to say what my life's going to be like 8 years from now? I have a 2-year-old. If I give up transportation for the sake of stability for my 6-year-old, I can't commit to that for the next 8 years. You're asking for an unreasonable decision by those of us that are put in this position, and it's such a small number of us. Leave us alone. Until you can put us at Apex Elementary, leave us alone. And speaking of that, part of West McGregor, they drive 15 minutes to Apex Elementary. Make that make sense. Send them to Penny Road.
Thank you. All right, so our final speaker for the public hearing will be Caitlin Trader.
I have some stuff for you guys. This is a hard copy of the email we all sent you, so now nobody can say you didn't get it. You have it. It's right there. It's right there. Here we are again, after months of sending emails, making phone calls, attending every single board meeting, attending every single virtual session, participating in every single thought exchange, speaking to members of the community who have been dealing with reassignments like this since the 1990s. Y'all have had the same exact complaints, same problems, same issues for decades, and yet we're still doing this. The fact that you don't have an opportunity for community members who are affected by this to vote is absurd to me. This impacts our families, our kids, our property values, everything. And yet we're at the mercy of people who clearly don't actually know our community, which I understand. Wake County's huge. But Like my husband said, the argument for moving us was that we walk across a high-speed road and a major highway. No, we don't. I showed a video in the last meeting. It is a sidewalk. We do not touch 540. It is a regular-sized sidewalk. I contacted the Department of Transportation, and I have documents that say in all of their inspections, the bridge is perfect, no complaints, the sidewalk is perfect, there are no complaints, there's nothing wrong with that road. I have spoken to representatives everywhere I could for every program that's safe routes to school, and they're like, what do you mean? That's safe. The town approved millions of dollars to approve a road that only Ashley Downs and Pearson Farms have access to. That is a complete and utter waste of taxpayers' dollars. And I am sure that people who don't really know that this is happening because they don't have kids or their kids have moved on, if they hear that, that is a huge impact for everybody. So I urge you, I don't care if this is going to delay people signing up, disapprove this proposal.
Thank you. And so that concludes the public hearing portion of the meeting. The next item on our agenda is our public comment period. Of course, you're welcome to stay through public comment and through the entirety of the meeting, but if anyone has come just for the public hearing and would like to slip out, we'll give you just a minute to do so.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
All right, everyone. Oh, a few more. All right, so now we'll move into the public comment portion of our meeting. Just as you heard before, speakers commenting on items on tonight's agenda will be heard before people that are speaking on topics off the agenda, and we will give our students the first opportunity to speak. Again, ground rules, only the person speaking at the podium will be able to stand. All other attendees that are not speaking are expected to remain seated. Concerns related to personnel issues or student matters can be confidential, and as such, they're best addressed through WCPSS personnel policies, the grievance policy, and other applicable procedures. If you have something that could be a confidential matter, we do have staff here who will be able to assist you tonight. So please consider that before revealing any confidential information during your public comment. In the interest of maintaining civility and decorum, speakers are encouraged to address their comments to the Board of Education and must refrain from personal attacks and insults directed at the board, individual board members, staff, and members of the general public. Please remain at the podium during your speaking time. Any materials you wish to hand to the board, please give them to our board attorney, Mr. Rod Malone, here at the end of the table, either before your comment or after your comment, and that way it also won't take up any of your time. Speaking of time, for public comment, you may speak up to 3 minutes. As I said before, you'll see a green light. It won't start until you begin speaking, but then once you've started, it will continue to go. When you see the yellow light, that's your signal that you have about 30 seconds left. After that, you'll hear one audible tone. Don't let it distract you. Keep going. When you hear the next audible tone and see the red light, your time has concluded, and we will call the next speaker up to the podium. Again, speakers are asked to respect the time limit and speak no more than 3 minutes. All right? So we will begin first tonight with our students speaking for comments, or I guess any of our student speakers. We'll start with Porter Bowman, who will be followed by Naaman Batra. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Porter, and I'm a senior at Sanderson High School. I want to talk about a few things. First, there needs to be more discipline in the school system, and students should not be able to disrupt class, arrive late, spit on teachers, You need to expel more students when they do these things. Second, you need to ban these pornographic books from the school system. I have read some of the most horrific books in the school libraries, and they're advertised at the front of the library. Lastly, you need to remove everything from sex education classes that use Planned Parenthood, because a business that commits child sacrifice should not be near the school system. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman. Our next speaker is Naaman Batra, who will be followed by Jerry Kalshu. Is Naaman here? All right, then we'll go to Jerry, followed by Christy Pocrell. Good evening.
Good evening. Hello, everyone. My name is Jerry Talshua, and I'm a junior at Enloe High School. Enloe is a place I'm incredibly proud to be a student at. Enloe is a melting pot of ideas, cultures, and perspectives that creates a sense of belonging for everyone who walks through its doors. Every day I see students from all different backgrounds laughing, collaborating, and building friendships that reach across boundaries. We have more than 100 clubs, a vast range of classes, standard, honors, APIB, and dual enrollment opportunities that allow us to dive into whatever interests us most. And the best part, every one of these opportunities is available to all of us, regardless of our economic status. But despite how much we love our school, there's a harsh reality we face. Our public schools are underfunded. This impacts every aspect of our lives. Instead of receiving more funds to support our public schools and improve infrastructure, House Bill 10 threatens to pull over $400 million from our already stretched budgets. This bill provides vouchers to private schools that only serve 15% of students in North Carolina. And the average income of families using these vouchers is $260,000. They don't need this funding nearly as much as public school students do. And many of those in rural and low-income areas don't even have access to these private institutions. Public schools educate 85% of North Carolina's students. Diverting funds from public schools means that students in counties without private schools lose out even more. In these counties, funds are desperately needed to fix aging buildings and hire enough teachers to give every child the education they deserve. The state mandates that bus drivers be paid a measly $15 per hour, but thanks to the amazing Wake County Board and Commissioner, they are able to be paid much more. I stand here today to speak up for public schools, for my school, and for students all across North Carolina. Public schools provide equal opportunities, create inclusive communities, and are essential to our future. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my story and stand up for the public schools that so many of us rely on.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Christy Pocrell, who will be followed by Rithwik Alagapali.
Before I start, I would just like to make sure that the material I sent was received. Yes? Okay. If everyone could pull that up for me, that'd be helpful. So you could follow along with me.
Give us just a second here.
Of course.
All right, this should be from Lisa Luton, handout for Jana Verma speaking at the board meeting. Is that correct?
No, Christy Pocrell.
Okay.
No, I sent it.
All right, so we have documents for a Green New Deal. Is that the presentation?
Yeah, is it the Green New Deal guidebook?
Yep, I think it's just been misattributed to a different speaker. But if that's the correct materials, then we do have your presentation.
Yes, so... Yes, that's correct. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Christy Pocrell, and I'm a student at Panther Creek High School. Fun fact, if every school in the United States reduced its energy by 10%, we'd save enough energy to power over 40,000 homes for an entire year. I'm here with the Sunrise Movement because I believe Wake County schools can be part of this impact, starting with a Green New Deal for our schools. Currently, the district's sustainability policy 1810, which is great, very good, in the right direction, but it's not enough to address the environmental challenges we're facing. It includes broad goals like managing resources and reducing waste, but it lacks specific actions, measurable targets, or a timeline for implementation. Without these, it's difficult to hold anyone accountable or gauge the policy's actual impact on our environment. Furthermore, the policy does not even mention climate change. We all know that climate change is already affecting our community, from extreme weather events to rising temperatures. Ignoring this issue within a sustainability policy doesn't only undermine the urgency for taking environmental actions, it also deprives students of the chance to develop climate literacy. In today's world, understanding climate change is essential, and our schools should be preparing us for that reality. If we're serious about equipping students and staff to engage in sustainable practices, we need a policy that goes beyond basics, which we don't have right now. Policy 1810 lacks key components such as energy-efficient transportation options and standards for sustainable building materials. This is why fellow students and I are advocating for a Green New Deal for Wake County schools. The Green New Deal is a holistic approach to sustainability that incorporates climate education, actionable sustainability practices, and student involvement across the entire district. Unlike the vague promises in Policy 1810, the Green New Deal sets clear, measurable targets for energy reduction, waste minimization, and emissions. It monitors and reports progress, ensuring accountability. The Green New Deal addresses overlooked areas, like I previously mentioned, emissions from transportation and classroom operations, and encourages student-led initiatives. By making sustainability a core part of our education system, we're preparing students to carry environmental responsibilities beyond the classroom. It's time for Wake County schools to move beyond Policy 1810 and commit to a more comprehensive, forward-thinking approach to sustainability. To help clarify our vision, we've provided a handout that outlines our specific demands and goals, and you already have that in front of you, so please take a look for a detailed breakdown of how we believe the Green New Deal can transform our schools. Thank you for your time and for considering this essential step toward a sustainable future for all of us.
Your time has expired.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, I'm sorry. It was showing up as red on the light. Yeah. Okay. My apologies. It looked like it was red. You had.
Oh, yeah. Oh, can I?
Go.
Yes.
We'll allow it. Okay. Go ahead. See?
If you would like to. Oh, yeah. It says 23 on 21.
Sorry.
Okay.
It's just the reflection that I'm getting on your Chromebook is showing like a red light to me, but everybody on the side sees the yellow.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. Okay. So, if you would like to see any examples of school systems that have implemented the Green New Deal, a good example would be the Boulder Valley School District. They have implemented it, so we can also take some precedents from them as well. And there are many other school systems that have implemented it, or schools. So this would be a really great change for Wake County school systems, and it's a right direction into a maybe a zero carbon emission footprint in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I apologize for that confusion about the time. All right, next up we have Rithwik Alagapalli, followed by Yana Verma.
Hello and good evening, everyone. I want to tell you about 128 Clarendon Crescent, Raleigh, North Carolina. This is the address of the amazing Enloe High School. What I love about Enloe is you can do anything. Do you want to learn how to play an instrument? You could join band, or orchestra, or piano, or chorus. Do you want to learn about anatomy and possibly be a healthcare professional in the future? You can join our Medical Bioscience Academy and have the opportunity to go job shadowing and tour hospitals. Do you want to speak up about how House Bill 10 is siphoning $400 million from public schools and using it for vouchers for private schools? You could join the PTSA like I did. My name is Rithwik, and I'm a freshman at Enloe, here to advocate for public school funding. First, I want to speak about 1425 Carnage Drive, Raleigh, North Carolina. This is the address of where I spent 3 years of my academic career at, Fred J. Carnage Magnet Middle School. For many of us students, though, it wasn't Carnage Middle School. It was the place that had a gas leak causing the fire alarm to go off and 800 students needing to leave, the place with the box elder bug infestation leading to classrooms being filled with bugs crawling and flying over us for three straight weeks, and the place where tiles from the ceiling fell on the hallway and burst into pieces, which led even more bugs into the classroom. Some days it felt like Carnage Middle School was actual carnage. This is because our school, like many other public schools, aren't receiving the necessary funding they need. Considering that public schools serve 85% of students in North Carolina, House Bill 10 is essentially depriving most of our students from the resources they need to grow. Instead of giving important and valuable resources to public schools, House Bill 10 advocates for funding private schools and allowing discounts through vouchers for the wealthiest demographic. These budget cuts are especially important today, where so many rural schools in Appalachia have lost everything from the recent hurricane destruction. Some of these rural counties don't even have private schools, and since many private schools don't offer transportation, these counties aren't getting any benefits. We need to focus and fund public schools with both money and education resources. We need to give teachers and anyone who helps students competitive wages, and we need to continue aiding schools harmed in the hurricane. Instead of House Bill 10 and calling for vouchers for private schools, we need to be helping out the 85% of students that need our help in public schools. If you won't help our schools, who's going to be there to help society in the future? Thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Thank you. Our final student speaker is Jana Verma.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jana Verma, and I'm also a student at Panther Creek High School and a member of the Sunrise Movement. I've had the privilege of seeing what other districts have achieved through comprehensive sustainability policies. For instance, schools in Portland and Los Angeles are not only cutting down on energy use and waste, but also actively involving students in climate initiatives. These programs equip young people with the tools and awareness to make a real impact starting now. Imagine if Wake County schools took the same bold steps. We could set concrete goals that give our schools direction, accountability, and a purpose-driven path towards sustainability. This isn't just about policies on paper. It's about empowering a generation to respond to one of the greatest challenges we face. Tonight, I invite you to join me in supporting a Green New Deal for Wake County schools. I also call on every candidate to sign a pledge to champion this movement by using their role to advocate for 100% clean energy in schools, comprehensive climate education, climate disaster response plans, and sustainable practices that prioritize student and community health over fossil fuel profits. Let's make a Green New Deal for Wake County schools a reality. I urge you to lend your voice and support to this movement so we can create the kind of future we all want to see right here, starting in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes our student speakers. And so now, with the number of speakers that we have, we'll continue on with our business agenda at the conclusion of the business agenda. But before we go into closed session, we'll come back to conclude our public comment period. So the next item on our agenda is our superintendent comments. We'll hear from our superintendent, Dr. Robert Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This week is National School Psychology Week, so I'd like to take a moment to thank the 119 psychologists and 5 lead psychologists who serve our students in Wake County Public Schools. As we continue to expand the ways we support our students' mental health, it's important to recognize the outstanding work our school psychologists do every day to promote student well-being and academic achievement. School psychologists support students' ability to learn and teachers' ability to teach. They apply expertise in mental health, learning, and behavior to help children and youth succeed academically, socially, and emotionally. They also consult with families, teachers, and other educators to improve school-wide practices and policies. School psychologists help children thrive every day by celebrating their strengths and encouraging them to persevere when things get tough, and we know they always do. Please take time this week to show your appreciation for your school psychologist. Be sure to include the hashtag School Psych Week on any social media post that you may make. November is also Homeless Youth Awareness Month, a time to bring attention to child and youth homelessness. Every year, more than 2.5 million young people experience homelessness. In Wake County, our district identified more than 5,500 students in transition last year, and the numbers, they continue to increase. Students in transitions face not only losing their home, community, friends, and routines, they also may lose their sense of stability and safety. That makes them more likely to suffer from hunger, chronic health issues, and lower academic performance. Our McKinney-Vento program ensures educational rights and protections for children and youth experiencing homelessness. With the support of school social workers and other staff and community members, students in transition get needed assistance to keep them engaged in school. That assistance can include clothing, school supplies, meals, paid field trips, tutoring, and transportation. Our work to support students and families experiencing homelessness underscores our commitment to doing everything we can to make sure all students have the chance to succeed. More than that, the work of our McKinney-Vento team, our school social workers, and others gives these students and families hope for a better future. For that, they deserve all of our thanks. I can tell you that I've experienced children dealing with homelessness, and the one thing that creates stability for them is the school. And so we're so proud of what McKinney-Vento does and allows students to attend the school that is their school of record. Many of us call that the base school. November is also National Native American Heritage Month, a time to celebrate the traditions, languages, and stories of Native communities and ensure their rich histories and contributions continue to thrive with each passing generation. Especially during the month of November, schools are encouraged to find ways to increase understanding and appreciation for Native American history and culture. We will also host a Native American Heritage Celebration on Tuesday, November the 26th, so please mark your calendars if you're able to attend. This event will be held at noon at the Wake County Public Schools Indian Education Center at 120 Avery Street in Garner. It will include lunch as well as multiple performances and other cultural celebrations. You can register for the event at wcpss.net/Native Heritage 2024. We will share a video with more information about Native American Heritage Month at our next board meeting, so we hope you're able to attend or at least watch it online if you're not here in person. As we continue to strive towards excellence and equity across our district, it's important that we recognize and celebrate the rich diversity of our student body. Cultural observances like Native American Heritage Month give us all the chance to deepen our knowledge of and appreciation for the unique cultures and histories that make this community and this nation strong. Finally, I'd like to wish a belated Happy Veterans Day to all military veterans. As you all know, my wife and my oldest daughter are proud veterans, so I do know firsthand what it means to serve with pride and sacrifice to this great nation, and I can tell you supporting my wife and as a military spouse has been one of the greatest pleasures in my life. I'm glad to say that our school district prioritizes taking good care of our military-connected students and their families all year round. I'll tell you that we have over 10,000 military-connected students in Wake County, and I think we're fastly approaching our largest military community, which is the Fort Liberty community. So we're going to continue to grow those numbers. This past year, 18 of our schools received the Purple Star Awards from the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. To earn this distinction, schools must designate a staff person who serves as a point of contact for military families, demonstrate an understanding of deployments and how they may impact a military-connected child, and conduct at least one school-wide activity showing appreciation for military-connected students and families. I also know we have many staff members who have served in the military. It is commendable that they continue to pursue careers of service even after their military service ended, making them inspiring role models for students. Last week, we asked staff members to submit recognitions of their colleagues who have served in the military, and we received dozens of submissions. So we really do thank them for recognizing colleagues that have served in the military. We'll be sharing those in our weekly communications to our staff members. I also had the opportunity on Friday to join 60 of our JROTC students at this year's Meet Your Army Day at Fort Liberty. The annual event serves as a hands-on career fair demonstrating the array of career opportunities within the military. Students met with soldiers, participated in training exercises, and got an up-close look at military vehicles. So we're going to take a look at a video in a moment. I do want to end by saying that one of the things that we want to continue to do is to make sure students who choose to serve in the military have the opportunity to do so. Currently, only 3 out of 10 students would actually qualify for military service. There are a whole host of things that disqualify them, and of those 3, maybe 1 chooses to actually serve. So we want to do our part in making sure that everyone knows the benefits that the military offers. And so with that, I think we're going to pull up a video.
Meet Your Army Day is just an opportunity for the units here on Fort Liberty to sort of open their doors, come out here, display a lot of their equipment, and soldiers more importantly, to kind of just show our youth in particular, here's who we are as an Army.
We have about a little over 10,000 military connected students, but that's why it's important that we do all the stuff to engage our families and their military service.
I've been in JTC for 4 years. I started my freshman year. We are deep onto that discipline. Just do what you gotta do. We just get to do a bunch of stuff that nobody ever does.
The way we do it is we peel it first, push it in, and then we apply pressure.
He's really teaching you, like, hey, if they have a wound on like any appendage, teaches you how to do a tourniquet, like a real medical professional. I feel like everybody should know that first aid.
The biggest thing I would ask folks to consider is there are so many opportunities that exist within the Army.
Right now I'm looking at the Navy and their nuclear engineering program.
This is your Army, right? We work for them, right? We're here to defend their nation.
And really, it's just a really amazing experience out here.
That concludes my comments, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. So next we'll go to just my own comments. The first thing I would like to do is, it's not our official welcome back, but welcome back to all of you who've come back from the campaign trail. I know it was a lot of hard work, it was a lot of stress, and it can be very, very challenging. So please do take some time for yourselves, just if nothing else, to help your family members see you and get reaccustomed to who you are and what you look like. I want to mention some important dates we have coming up. We did talk, it was brought up before, that our reassignment plan is currently scheduled to come back for our meeting on November 26th. Okay? I also want to notice that is the same day as the Native American Heritage Celebration in Garner. So if you're planning on attending the celebration, please make sure you do leave with sufficient time to make it back here, to be here on time for that meeting. Okay. We will have, like as Dr. Taylor said, video highlights of the celebration, and we'll share those at a public meeting, just as a more formal recognition of this month. But I think in talking with staff, we didn't want to celebrate the month before we had the celebration. We wanted to be able to share the celebration and some of the things that were going on at our schools with all the board members and for the public to see. I said this was not our official welcome back. That will be December 3rd. December 3rd will be our leadership meeting, and that will be when we have our oaths of office given, an opportunity to celebrate with friends and family, and to set a course for the coming year. While I have congratulations for everyone, there is one particular election result which is bittersweet, which is our vice chair, Miss Monica Johnson-Hostler, was not up for re-election to the school board. Her term does not expire until 2026, but Ms. Johnson-Hostler was selected by voters in a primary to be their candidate for State House and had a successful election. And so, even though her term won't quite conclude on the 3rd, I do want to be able to bring to the rest of you not only a moment to kind of celebrate Ms. Vice Chair Johnson-Hostler's career and service to the board, but I also, between now and then, will bring to you a plan for how we'll go about searching and selecting a replacement. For some of you, this is a very familiar process. We've had to do that most recently with our newest member, Ms. Rice. But I will bring together a proposal for our consideration in a public meeting, and I do want to set an ambitious timetable, just because, just like with District 4, we want the voters, the people of District 2, to not have a long wait before they have another representative on the school board. So please do mark your calendars for that. Also, we've talked about a board retreat. We've had scheduling problems trying to do things that overlap weekends, a Friday and Saturday. And so after discussions with our leadership team here, we decided to schedule a routine for what would be an already scheduled meeting, so it should be clear on your calendar. So we'll begin the retreat on Tuesday, December 17th, which would be our second December board meeting, but it will continue the following day, Wednesday, December 18th. And we will have a lot of important discussions. There will be important information, updates from the different chiefs on our senior leadership team about different initiatives you've tasked them with over the year. We'll talk about our budget. We'll go through a similar budget exercise as we did in our last retreat. And we'll hear about other priorities that board members have brought, and we'll be bringing back a special guest, someone you all know, Dr. Randy Bridges. So we're very excited for the retreat. Please do everything, again, by setting the first day on the Tuesday, the 17th. There should be no excuse for missing the first day, and I really hope you'll do everything possible to attend that second day when Dr. Bridges will be here. Many other wonderful things going on in our district right now, but it's a long night. We still have speakers left to go, so I will yield my time to Vice Chair Johnson-Hostler.
Thank you very much, and indeed it is a bittersweet moment as I wrap up my 11th year, and thank you to my colleagues and my constituents for allowing me to serve throughout the end of this year. So officially, I will resign from the board effective December 31st, or 30th, I think Ms. Allen reminded me I should say. So I will officially serve a full 11 years, and it truly has been an experience, both heartfelt and certainly feel like we've moved the needle, and I look forward to all the things that you all will continue to do and all the things that I will continue to do alongside you, just at another table in another chair, but with the exact same goals, and that's our students and our families as a priority. So thank you for your kind words, Mr. Chair, and all of you who've reached out to provide those to me individually. And most importantly, to my constituents, which I do still get to serve many of them, because part of the new House district does include my school board district, and people were very kind to me throughout this season. But as Chair Haggerty said, I do look forward, some of you that have been around a long time, including the public, that I'm looking forward to my end being with you all at our retreat to share all of my infinite, maybe wisdom or lessons learned, or both. So thank you, Mr. Chair and Superintendent, for agreeing to allow me to stay through that time, because you know I have a lot to say. But nonetheless, I appreciate your support in me making that decision. And to the constituents of District 2, who I also shared that with over the last 6 months, that was going to be my intention if elected, is to remain through the end of the year, which we also have a reassignment plan, which District 2 is impacted. So that is also was the initial priority for me to stay throughout the decision of this assignment plan. That will be my last assignment plan. So I won't carry that with me to Jones Street. And then, of course, I have to shout out because my other two colleagues who love our flag football team went without me at the beginning of the season because I was traveling. So I'm glad to say 2 of those teams in my district are number 1 and 2 currently in the state. And I got to see them play last Monday, and that's South Garner and Willow Spring. They were not playing each other, so that was even better. And thank you, Garner Magna High School, which does not have a flag football team, for allowing us to use their facility. So congratulations to all of the young women and their coaches and families, and to the announcers, which I don't think I've ever said, but many of the players had names like mine, so parents kept screaming up to the sound booth like, "That's not her name!" So shout out to all the parents who consistently cheered and helped the announcer start to correct the names. But these young women are true athletes, and again, I'm extremely proud of Mr. Coe and his entire team for supporting this endeavor in our school district. So I'd be remiss if I did not end on the note that it made me very proud to be a school district to add that women's flag football. Lastly, I will say South Garner was my first high school to open in my district in this board. I now have two additional, and South Garner opened in 2018, did not have their first graduation until COVID. And I share all that to say that oftentimes my colleagues share all, and I do too, the great things of our schools who've been around for a long time making their way to all the state finals, and we are extremely excited, as they are, that South Garner High School theater program has finally made it to states, and I've been to every play since they opened with only 2 grades, which they were much smaller plays than they are now, so they did Romeo and Juliet, so I'm extremely proud and extend them and everyone who's supported them, which is the entire community shows up for them. So congratulations to South Garner High and all the work that they put into achieving the status that all high schools want to look forward to is going to states for both performing arts and our sports. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Vice Chair Johnson-Hostler. Today we'll switch up the order. Mr. Swanson, are you ready?
Yes. Great way of switching things up. This time I was prepared, but I want to say congratulations to my colleagues on their re-elections. I look forward to working with you all in this upcoming terms as we continue to level up and continue to move our district forward to address the teaching and learning that takes place in our classrooms and supporting our families. I had the opportunity this weekend to speak at the 100 Black Men Triangle chapter with some students about the importance of civic engagement and speaking with families about the importance of what school boards do and the decision and the partnerships. I enjoyed those conversations. I also wanted to give a shout out to Leah Chaudhry, who also spoke to the students about the importance of debate and encouraging students to join the debate teams at their school. So it was a really great conversation and some really great questions that were raised as well. So our students are not only the future generation of today, but of tomorrow, the future generation of now and tomorrow. I was about to say that did not make sense. The point I'm trying to make is their voices are very important. Lastly, I just want to acknowledge the families that reached out regarding the incident that took place across the street from Cary High. I've had the opportunity to speak with families about our commitment to school safety, in addition to having conversations with Cary Town Councilwoman Michelle Craig and the Chief of Police to ensure that safety is all of our priority. And so I wanted to acknowledge those emails and thanking those families for reaching out. And, you know, this is a event that takes place often way too many than it often as many as it takes place way too often. And this is a problem that we can't solve alone. It's going to take our communities to come together to really address this important topic of school safety and making sure that weapons do not belong in the hands of students on our campuses. And so I look forward, I'm committed to leading whatever initiatives that takes place and also looking forward to having those conversations with families so we can work in partnership to address this. So to those families, continue to advocate and using your voice. And I also just want to give a shout out and thanks to Principal Bryant for his commitment and involvement in ensuring that his school, the community is safe. So thank you so much. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. We'll go to Ms. Caulfield.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to all of our families and all our veterans that serve and protect our country and here in Wake County. I do not think it's enough that we honor you just one time a year, but did not want to let it go unsaid since our Veterans Day was yesterday. But a special thank you to all of our veterans and to all their families for their special sacrifice and for serving and protecting our country. So please be sure to thank a veteran for their service and sacrifice and also their families. I know that each and every time my family sees a veteran and we thank them for their service, they actually light up and really appreciate the fact that somebody has recognized that. So please be sure to do that. Today we learned more about how Wake County students can learn about our ROTC programs. So if you're interested, please listen to our work session that we had earlier today. They had a lot of good information there, and it doesn't just talk about the program itself, but it also talks about the opportunities and possibilities it could give families and students going forward. Some fun activities that we have coming up for families in District 1 is our talented high school students are performing at Nightdale High School. They are performing Color Purple starting this Thursday, and Heritage High School is also performing Shrek, also starting on Thursday. So their performances are Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Be sure to take your family out, and I know that you're going to love it. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Caulfield. Ms. Rice.
Good evening. It's been a full few weeks of school and district engagement since we met last. First, I want to start by saying thank you to the Office of Equity Affairs for a wonderful celebration for the Hispanic Heritage Month. It was a great afternoon at Millbrook High School. It was also a starlit night at the Stars of Education with Wake Ed Partnership. It was an honor to attend and honor educators and community within Wake County, particularly Ms. Rosa Gill, a former Wake County board member, and my former 9th grade algebra educator. I also attended the Health and Innovations Roundtable at Southeast Raleigh YMCA and toured Southeast Raleigh Elementary School, where we highlighted the strong school and community connections. It was a proud moment to see local, state, and national leaders attend and learn how Southeast Raleigh is empowering education and elevating communities. Thank you also to Theta Lambda Sigma Gamma Rho on the campus of NC State University that invited me to share about the role as a school board of education and voting. It was an honor to meet so many engaged young women. Yesterday, we honored veterans in our country. I want to say thank you for your service and sacrifice. You are honored and appreciated for your bravery. I would like to thank this current board that appointed me to work as a team on behalf of the Wake students, staff, and community. It was a pleasure to serve alongside you, to the community of District 4, to the 31,000 plus families that said, Toshiba, we want you as our representative. Hear my loud thanks. Thank you for electing and choosing me to serve our district for the next 4 years. I'm excited about what we will do together. Let's start this new journey on Monday, December the 2nd at 6:30 p.m. at Riverbend Middle School to learn about special education, resources, and services at our BAC meeting for District 4. I also would like to say thank you to the outstanding Enloe students who presented today about funding public schools. I am happy to hear them speak up. I hope they continue these impressive speeches to the General Assembly to tell state legislatures to fund their public schools with public dollars. To my colleagues that openly support HB 10, please hear our students' concerns who are attending Wake County Public Schools. With that said, it is time for our 8 dimensions of wellness tip. Because of recent local and national events, emotional wellness may vary. Today, we will share 2 emotional wellness tips to consider during election periods, as both local and national elections can stir various emotions. 1, let's limit our news intake. While staying informed is important, constant exposure to news and debates can lead to emotional fatigue. Set specific times to check news updates. Ideally from reliable sources, and avoid engaging with stressful content right before bed to protect your peace. Number 2, focus on positive actions. Elections often bring stress and uncertainty, so focus on actions within your control. This could include voting, volunteering, supporting a cause you care about, or have constructive conversations. Engaging positively can empower you and provide a sense of purpose during uncertain times. So remember, it's okay to step back and prioritize your well-being. Use these tips to be good to yourself so that you can have a positive and productive day. Thank you.
Thank you. Coming back around the table, we'll hear from Mr. Hershey.
Two quick things. Just for what Vice Chair Johnson-Hauser brought up regarding flag football, I see that Wake County is one of the counties to submit a proposal to the North Carolina High School Athletic Association asking the board to sanction girls flag football as an official sport in North Carolina, which would be fantastic. The only other brief thing I'll say is for those that come to speak about the reassignment plan and that email us, whether or not you get a direct email from me in a response, I want you to know that I am reading everything that you are sending and taking in everything you are saying. So I know sometimes it can feel like maybe people aren't listening, but I assure you that I am, and I believe my colleagues are as well. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Hershey. Dr. Ng.
Good evening. Congratulations to all of my fellow school board members, mainly for surviving the busy election season. After many hours of greeting voters and running from voting site to voting site, I'm glad that we can actually get back to our regular schedule of school board activities. First, just an announcement about my upcoming BAC meeting for District 3. It will be held next Monday, November 18th at Wakefield Elementary. And our guest speaker will be Charles Patton, Director of Digital Content and Instruction, who will be speaking on artificial intelligence and the implication in education and in our society. Dinner will be served for the principals and the BAC reps beginning at 5:30, and the meeting will begin promptly at 6 and ending at 7. It is open to the public, so you guys are welcome to participate as well. In regard to the election last week, I can safely say that for everyone in Wake County, we have reasons to celebrate victories, and we have reasons to grieve losses. If you look at the election night as a whole, including federal, state, and local elections, there were some results that no one would have predicted. It was very encouraging to see so many young people who came to the polling sites and waited in line to exercise their rights to vote for the very first time. And I saw many people who brought along their friend or family member to make sure that they do their civic duty as well. And I saw families that brought their young children with them and made it into a family event. I am encouraged that this historic election gave parents the opportunity to show their children how our constitutional republic works. That is what is so great about our system of government. The record turnout all over the country and here in Wake County proves that our citizens are committed to a peaceful process for choosing our representatives to lead all of us. In my prayers this past month, more than anything, more than praying for any particular person to win, I prayed for peace in this country. This will be my continued prayer in the coming months during the transition of leadership. On the other hand, I was rather dismayed at the negativity that was thrown around in TV commercials, radio ads, mailers, social media, and even yard signs. That is something that I will not miss. It is one thing to attack someone based on their positions, but it is another to name call without basis in truth. It is easy to label someone as a fascist, socialist, or extremist, and to use these shortcut labels to put all your worst fears on that person. But is it based on reality? My concern is that this trend towards hysteria and fear-mongering is not good for our society, and it's definitely not good for the children who are watching us. We have to be the adults in the room and show them that we make decisions based on facts, not fears. This kind of name-calling, even for the sake of an election, is a form of bullying. We often talk about how bad bullying is. Let's be an example for our children and not descend into bullying tactics ourselves. So I look forward to what is coming in the coming months with our new leadership in Washington, D.C. and here in Raleigh. In the famous A Time for Choosing speech from 1964, President Reagan spoke very presciently of what we are facing now. You and I are told we must choose between a left and a right, but I suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There is only an up or down. Up to man's age-old dream, the maximum of individual freedom consistent with order, or down to the ant heap of totalitarianism. The speech concludes with this: you and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We will preserve our children, this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we will sentence them to take the first step into 1,000 years of darkness. If we fail, at least let our children and our children's children say of us, we justified our brief moment here. We did all that could be done. I am also reminded of the classic campaign ad from President Reagan in 1984. It's morning again in America. Regardless of your viewpoint on the results of the election, a new chapter will be upon this country. We all have a role in shaping our future, and this is definitely not a time to be asleep. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, next we'll hear from Ms. Edmonds.
Thank you. Many thanks to the senior staff that presented to my BAC last month. I got a lot of positive feedback and know that the members appreciated all the information. My next BAC is scheduled for December 9th at Athens Drive High School, and we will be discussing cell phone use in schools, collecting feedback on what our district should consider as we develop a policy for next school year. I had a nice visit with Centennial's new principal and got to greet families on a magnet tour of the school. And I want to give a special plug that the magnet application period is still open. It's open now, going into January. I also had a great time over at Yates Mill Elementary for their fun run, and on Friday I attended 2 Veterans Day celebrations, one at Westlake Elementary and one at Penny Road Elementary. I've said it before, but I'll say it again, that the best part of this job is visiting our schools and celebrating our students and being in community with our teachers and our families. With regard to the elections, I have a special message to our trans students. And I lift you up specifically because you were specifically targeted by candidates at the local, state, and federal level. Please know that there are members here at this board, including myself, and there are thousands of staff members in this building and in your schools who care deeply about and are committed to your safety and your well-being, period. I cannot promise you what's going to happen. I can't promise that you won't continue to be targeted and bullied. I don't know what lies ahead with regard to our federal laws that will impact you directly, your health, your well-being, and I have no idea what will happen to your rights. I know that you're scared. I'm scared too. But please know, I and many others support you, care about you, and we won't give up doing everything we can, everything within our power to advocate for you and your rights. What Lynn Edmonds is doing, I am working on a statewide effort to protect LGBTQ plus students in our schools. There used to be an organization in North Carolina called Safe Schools NC, and they're no longer in existence, but I and some parents in our system of trans students are working on something new. So if anybody that hears me is interested in joining that effort, please be in touch with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Edmonds. And we'll conclude our board member comments with Ms. Mahaffey.
Thank you. I'd like to start by thanking our families for continuing to speak on the proposed assignment plan. I'm not going to accuse Mr. Hershey of stealing my line, but we do read every email, and so thank you. I do want to ensure that those conversations are there. I think I talk with Ms. Pulliam at least once a week about the assignment plan, sometimes more. Either in her office or on the phone or over a Google Meet. And it's just part of the nature of reassignment. I want to thank the HumSub community. Last year I was able to be a judge on their Youth Achievement Award. This year I did not have the time because these kids are incredible and do amazing things But I want to highlight one student who's a freshman at Enloe High School who I sent to Chief Butler with our technology office because he created a company that helps students understand how AI can be used in education as a middle schooler. So given the fact that that's something that our district is talking about, I figured who better to talk to than someone who's already doing the work. So, and I also want to thank our CTE and business community for another School to Volunteer career celebration. It looks at our schools and the folks that are a part of the Business Alliance for every high school and recognizes the volunteer time that they put in order to help students understand what careers look like in the future. We had a new format this year where our CTE students were actually in the breakfast buffet area so that we could see what about 10 of our high schools, I think one middle school participated, and what they're doing, whether it's building rockets, whether it's the FFA community, whether it's construction management. It was really incredible to see the work that was being done in our schools and always hearing it from our students being an incredible, incredible piece. And so many thanks to Joanne Honeycutt and her team for lifting that up this year, as it was sometimes not easy to get to McKimmon Center at 7:30 in the morning, but that made it well worth it. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Mahaffey. And that concludes our board comments for this meeting. Returning to our agenda, the next thing that we have is our consent agenda. If everyone has had an opportunity to review the items on the consent agenda, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
So moved.
Second.
So I believe we have a motion to approve the consent agenda from Mr. Swanson, a second from Ms. Mahaffey. All in favor of adoption of the items on the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll turn to our brief but important action agenda. We have two items tonight, both policies. First, Board Policy 2016-6315, 7435, drivers. And then we will also have what I think is this the last of the leave policies? Our parental leave policy 7525. We welcome Dr. Matillo, assisted by Dr. Crane.
Thank you, Chair Haggerty, members of the board, Superintendent Taylor. Today we are bringing two policies for first read, both our drivers and our parental leave policy. I'll start with drivers for first reading. Once adopted, this policy would update policy 6315 and add the policy in both the 5,000 and 7,000 sections of the manual. Staff first presented this revised policy during the September Policy Committee meeting based on the board's feedback, primarily around Section C, which was volunteers and coaches driving students in private vehicles, and Section D, employees driving students in private vehicles in extraordinary circumstances. Staff worked on addressing the concerns and the feedback from the board. We consulted with risk management, our finance officer, county athletic director, and principals, and presented the new proposed policy during the October meeting. Board was aligned around that language, and that's mostly the policy, or all the policy that I'm bringing you tonight. Briefly, in sections A and B, you'll see the red text shows the changes that staff presented at the September Policy Committee meeting. Again, you supported those sections mostly during that September meeting. Most of the discussion in the last Policy Committee was around sections C and D, so you'll see the blue text there shows staff's additions, and then the red text shows additional changes that were brought during that October 29th meeting based on your feedback. You, again, were supportive and aligned during the October Policy Committee meeting, so don't have a whole lot to go over, but wanted to present that tonight to you for approval of first reading. Again, that's policy 5060, 5016, 6315, and 7435 drivers.
Chair Haggerty, I move approval of Board Policy 5016, 6315, 7435 drivers first reading.
We have a motion for approval of Board Policy 7435. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Are there any questions about the policy or any discussion? Chair Mahaffey.
No, it's Chair.
Committee Chair
Yeah.
Mahaffey.
I just, as Dr. Mutillo stated, I want to thank Mr. Bell and Ms. Posey for their flexibility, Mr. Kofer and principals for sharing the reality of our situation. And I want to highlight our own board member and coach, Sam Hershey, for sharing what it's like in those after hours for our students when it's hard to get a hold of families, and just making sure that our policies are not just, that they're an accurate reflection of what we are able to do in this school system. So thank you.
Thank you. Further comments or further questions? I'd like to echo Ms. Mahaffey's comments. I really appreciate the work that staff did listening to the board and hearing the concerns that we had. You know, as representatives of the public school system, I think one thing that's very important for us is that we have to appreciate and value all of the enrichment activities that take place for our students, for education that comes outside of the classroom, whether these are, you know, the important lessons of like fellowship and competition that come for our athletic events, the educational events where our students go to, you know, local museums or government buildings, to the governor's mansion, to the legislature, or just, you know, in the arts with being able to give a public performance at a local like church or civic club or a shopping center. You know, these are all things that often require outside transportation, oftentimes don't, you know, might rely on parent transportation, volunteer transportation. And I think with the changes in policy, this really reflects that we want to get to the how we can allow these things to happen, as opposed to just being afraid of, well, something bad could happen, there could be an issue of liability. Instead, if these are important to us, if families and parents and educators think these are important activities, how can we make it happen? And so I really appreciate, you know, your staff. Also, I want to acknowledge not just Dr. Crane, but Kendra Hill, who put a lot of work into this and some of her last work here for us at the district recently. So just a heartfelt thank you on that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and we appreciate all your feedback. I mean, I'll be honest, we try to bring you a policy that could get out of policy committee in one read. But when we don't, it's because you all have really good feedback, and we usually end up with a better policy because of it. So we do appreciate the feedback and the opportunity to improve it.
Thank you. If there are no other comments, we'll proceed to a vote. All in favor of adoption of Board Policy 2016-6315, 7435 on first reading, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? All right, it's been adopted, and we'll go to second reading. The final policy is Board Policy 7525, parental leave.
Great, and this is a new Wake County policy for us, and one of the benefits of this is we try to take multiple policies that address parental leave and combine them into one. So I think this will be an accessible, readable policy and an important one for our employees. We presented this at the October Policy Committee meeting. Again, you were aligned around the language during the committee meeting. Just a quick review, the policy does include the state's paid parental leave, which is new within the last couple of years, and they've continued to kind of modify and tweak. So we've been able to include those modifications. It also includes some of our existing policies around non-paid parental leave and the ways that employees can use their own accrued leave during that non-paid time. And then lastly, just the parental involvement leave, which was a standalone. So brings all of that into one parental leave policy for our employees. So tonight we're requesting the board's approval of that policy 7525 for parental leave.
Thank you, Dr. Mutillo. Is there a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion for adoption from Ms. Mahaffey. Is there a second? Second. And we have a second from Ms. Edmonds. Is there any discussion? Are there any questions? Ms. Mahaffey.
I just want to highlight, you know, we had a robust discussion on this, especially, you know, recognizing that the state is finally offering paid parental leave for families, but recognizing that if a parent were to have two children within a 12-month period, that the second child would not be covered under that paid parental leave, but would need donated leave from colleagues, et cetera. And so while this is a new piece that we welcome, we hope that the state will continue to look at this and recognize that every kid is special and needs and their parents. And unpaid parental leave is not a lot. So just lifting that up, as that was a big part of the discussion.
Thank you, Ms. Mahaffey. And that was an important part of our policy discussion. You know, not just the circumstances of biological birth within that period, but also for adoption and families that might be fostering or bringing other children into their family that way as well. So I really appreciated all the board members who raised those issues. Is there any other discussion or any questions about the policy? All right. If not, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of adoption of policy 7525, parental leave on first reading, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Dr. Matillo. It's past first reading. We'll go to second. Okay, everyone. At this point, we will return to our public comment. All remaining public comments are off agenda. I will spare you reading the preamble again. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. And we will turn to our first speaker, will be Maggie Fife, who will be followed by Julie Page.
I just have a little bit of good news. Hi, everyone. Before I get into my remarks, I wanted to say that I know some folks don't like a fact check, but I think I need to issue a correction. We are a representative democracy, and the right-wing rebrand of our government that I hear here from Moms for Liberty and now from some of our board members is not okay, and it's why our kids need to take AP US History and the other amazing history courses that we offer at our public schools. I have 2 children in public schools, and I'm speaking this evening to thank our incumbent board members for being willing to continue to serve and offer their time and expertise in the service of Wake County Public Schools. We appreciate all that you do, especially in the face of efforts by certain groups to manufacture controversies about things like School Spirit Day, of all things. I know most of our incumbents support fully funding our schools, and this is clearly something that resonated with voters county and statewide. One incumbent here is on the record in support of vouchers, diverting public funds to unaccountable private schools. That race was contested and was extremely close. So the message to the board is clear. We don't want vouchers. I hope that the whole board will see our recent elections from a pro-public school and public education governor to a pro-public education superintendent of public instruction to the majority of our board here in Wake County as a mandate to continue to pursue increased pay for our teachers, more support for mental health, support for early childhood programs, and more support for our infrastructure, as you heard from some of our students earlier. Voters have made their needs clear. We need to improve our public schools before we divert money to private ones. House Bill 10 includes hundreds of millions of dollars of public money, which would go to parents of any income level for private schools that do not have to accept all students, and notably discriminate against students with disabilities, non-Christian students. The majority of schools receiving voucher funds are Christian schools, and LGBTQIA+ students. The bill is up for veto override on the 19th, and I urge the board to continue to advocate against this bill. NC voters don't want this bill. More importantly, North Carolina students don't want this bill, as we've just heard. I've given you a little article from Teen Vogue about students in Kentucky who organized to help defeat that state's voucher legislation. Their accomplishment and passion is amazing, and I think you'll see no less from students here in North Carolina as they realize their own education and opportunities are on the line. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Julie Page, who will be followed by Jonathan Clayton.
I wasn't going to speak tonight, but here I am. So here we go. Hi, everyone. As you all know, we had an election last week. Most people have mixed reactions to the results. I know that I do. I am, however, very excited to soon be unburdened by what has been. No more weaponization of the government against parents. No more worries of critical race theory. No more gender ideology and queer theory. Goodbye, DEI. no boys in girls' sports, locker rooms, and bathrooms, no more compelled speech, hello, First Amendment, universal school choice. We will finally have common sense back in education. I am here for it, and I cannot wait. I want to address some of the hateful rhetoric, demeanor, and eye rolls that come from some members of this board. It is rude, it is uncalled for, unacceptable, highly unprofessional for elected officials. Mr. Hershey, calling Moms for Liberty a hate group is not only false and slanderous, it is completely irresponsible and can incite actual acts of hate upon us. Mr. Swanson, rolling your eyes, turning around in your chair, and sometimes leaving the room is childish, and it's time to grow up. Is it too much to ask all of you to behave appropriately during school board meetings? Please start acting like the adults in the room that you are supposed to be. I don't often do this, but I'm going to do this. To end, I do want to give a compliment, since y'all never hear anything good from me. Willow Springs Elementary had a Veterans Day breakfast and clap out parade this past Friday. I asked if my family could participate because it was for my grandfather who served in World War II. I didn't know if I should be there or not because I know we have active duty military families in the school system, but they said yes, I could. And so it was very moving. I cried, believe that or not. But I held a picture of my granddaddy in his uniform from back then, from his service days when he was drafted for World War II. And my son was there, and my husband was there. And I see all of the students and all of the teachers lining the halls of the school, waving flags, clapping, smiles on their faces, saying thank you, was actually very, very moving. With proud to be an American in the background. So I want to say it had a profound impact on me, and I'm very grateful to Lauren Garrett, the school counselor, who put all of that together. My family appreciated it very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jonathan Clayton, who will be followed by Loretta Humphrey. Good evening, Mr. Clayton.
Good evening. My name is Jonathan Clayton, and I'm a resident of the town of Wake Forest. Exactly 1 week ago today, it was election day in our nation, and we now know what kind of future America chose. And, board members, since the United States of America is now unburdened by what has been, we can now be burdened for what can be as we head into the year 2025. For this Wake County Public School Board, I therefore have 3 proposals to move into the next year making real progress in how and what students are learning. These 3 proposals will be taking politics out of the classroom, 1, 2, a reversal of the Biden administration's Title IX rewrite, and 3, an honest conversation about the realities of the deficiencies in the Wake County public school system. First, it is long past time for this board to listen to the pleading of conservatives and remove politics from the classroom. We have constantly been told that we are not offering solutions to help kids learn, yet our answer has never changed. No more politics in the classroom so that the focus is on true learning. This means returning to a focus on ensuring that children can read, write, do math, understand history, and experience science. In 2025, removing politics from the classroom to focus on academics is the best strategy possible to make our schools better. Second, it is also long past time to reverse this board's policy that accepted the Biden administration's rewrite of Title IX that was passed back in July. The reality is that change is coming in the federal government, and this will likely include returning to the common sense that Title IX established back in 1972. This school board must reverse the disastrous precedent that was set in July and champion the reality of the gender binary and sex-specific private spaces in our schools again. Change is coming quickly from the federal government on this, so this school board should anticipate this change by removing the policy that started this in the first place. And third, and finally, it is very much long past time for an honest conversation amongst the members of this school board and the public in Wake County about the deficiencies in our school system. We must have accountability concerning learning loss, lack of proficiency in reading and math, and the failure of our school system to properly educate students. While we do have many great teachers in our county, our school system is failing to give them what they need to educate students well. This is why an honest conversation about the state of the Wake County public school system is so critical going into 2025. In closing, I urge you, the Wake County Public School Board, to heed my words and seek positive changes for the students in your care. Remove politics from the classroom, focus on academics, and have a much-needed conversation about the deficiencies of our school system and how to address them. I pray that God will grant favor to our schools in 2025, and that our students will begin to learn and be educated well for the life that He has for them. Thank you, and God bless the Wake County Public School System.
Our next speaker is Loretta Humphrey, who will be followed by Tara Podvatsky.
Hi. I spoke with Mr. Malone, and he said that I had to ask Mr. Haggerty if I could do this. You guys have opened the door in regards to this election, and I wanted to personally give this to Mr. Ng.
That's okay. Just give it to, you can either give it to Mr. Malone, or as soon as we're done with comment, we'll let you hand it to Dr. Ng if you want to take a picture.
Throw it over there.
We'll let you give it to him right after, okay?
All right, thank you
Yeah.
so much. And with that being said, I've got probably a few seconds left. I think what we need to focus on is why are we losing 72,000 children? I heard a lot of parents up here, and they're upset about a lot of things. So, when Mr. Hershey said, you hadn't gotten an email from me yet, well, I think part of their anxiety might be, got your email, get back to you. We just need to treat these parents a little bit better, or 72,000 is going to turn into like maybe 180,000, 190,000. Just pay attention to your people is all I want to say. I heard them pleading with you. I don't know what your solution is going to be. Good luck to you. Good luck to them. Thank you, sir, for running. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you. And again, Ms. Humphreys, we will, after public comment, we'll go into our closed session, but we will have a moment there, just so if you want to deliver your gift, you can, okay? All right, thank you. All right, Tara?
Great job pronouncing my name.
I'm doing my best. Thank you. Just really quickly, you will be followed by Becky Lou Hobbs. Thank you. Good evening.
Okay, I'm Tara Podvatsky. I've never been to a school board meeting before. I had no idea it was such a thrilling way to spend a Tuesday night. I have 5 children. 2 have graduated from Apex Friendship, and I have 3 currently at Apex Friendship. And I just wanted to speak briefly about cell phones in school, and I wasn't aware, Ms. Caulfield, that there was this meeting coming up, so I'd love to learn more about that and participate. So I love research. I do research for work, and I do research as my hobby as well. And in the last year, I've been looking into technology in schools and the impacts on education, learning, social, emotional health, and just the overall impact it's having on our kids. And what I've really enjoyed is trying to pull the politics and the fear out of the issue and focus just on the facts. And for the last 2 days, knowing I was coming here to speak on this, I just was going through books and articles and trying to find the best bits. And around 3 o'clock this afternoon, it kind of coalesced into just 3 points that I hope you all will consider that are based in science when we look at this issue. And the first one is that we know for a fact that cell phones, social media are unquestionably addictive. We know in schools that they are deeply distracting, even when in your bag, in your pocket, upside down on your desk. And we know that when you have a classroom of kids that have access to cell phones on their body, in their bag, that the least impacted kid in the room sees a 10% reduction in their ability to understand content, to master content, and to recall content. And that's the least impacted kid in the room. We also know for a fact that the more you are struggling academically, the more you are underperforming already, the greater this disparity will be when you bring technology into the equation. So I think when you discuss it, you're going to hear a lot from parents coming from a place of fear, because they've, at this point when their kids are in high school, they've always been tracking their kids. They've always been able to reach their kids, and they're going to have concerns that are based in fear, and they're not going to be based in fact. Their fears will not reflect the reality, but we know that the real fear of how these devices are impacting our children's day-to-day learning, their ability to engage in deep thought, their ability to read long-form content and come to understand, question, and analyze information in the way we need our future citizens to do is impacted every day. So I just ask you to please come to the science, and if you can return to just 3 facts, have them be that we know they're addictive, we know they're distracting, and we know they hurt the kids who need the help the most, the most. Not at all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker will be Becky Lou Hobbs, who will be followed by Diane Chandler.
Hello, I'm Becky, as you guys know. Mom, chapter chair of Moms for Liberty in Wake County. Gosh, very interesting meeting tonight, a lot going on. First of all, Dr. Winging, thank you for opening comments. I really appreciate those. It really resounded with me. But there's a lot of misinformation out there. Just one thing I will correct. Benjamin, the glare. At the Constitutional Convention, Benjamin Franklin was quoted saying, after asked what kind of government, he said, a republic, if you can keep it. And of course, we pledge allegiance to the republic. I don't know why that is such a big debate, but there is a slight difference in between a republic and a democracy. But this board has a long history of both current members, some current members, and many past members really ignoring the public. I see that in how you seem to be ignoring these families from Apex, anybody who disagrees with your policies. Many of you have walked out. Some of you have called us names. And I'm kind of wondering, do you guys read your own policies? I mean, you guys talk about bullying like, you know, you're trying to do something about it. But here you are, you're being a bully. Many of you. And when kids speak up in school, what do? You don't protect the child. If they disagree with what you want for your agenda, you punish the child. And I hate to say, one of my children, when I asked them when they graduated or left elementary school, what did they learn? And he said, he learned that if he stood up for himself, that he'd be punished. This is what he learned from Wake County, because nothing was ever done about the bullying from him. I have my theories. I have no proof. Trust me, if I knew then what I know now, I would have had the proof. So be thankful for that. But you need to take a deep look inside of you guys. Millions of people voted for a change of direction for this country. Just because there's a bunch of people here that disagree with you doesn't mean that you can't learn to talk to people and treat people with respect. Some of you do, some of you don't.
Our next speaker is Diane Chandler, who will be followed by our final speaker of the night, Marie Dexter.
Hello.
Good evening.
I am a single mom of 2 Wake County Elementary School students. I am a PTA board member, and yes, I am a proud member of Moms for Liberty. It is despicable that some of the board members were allowed to call us a hate group. And I'm going to speak about it is not okay to say, it's okay for them to say it because they were talking about a group. Because as a board member, they should be held to higher standard because they were elected to serve all of their constituents, which does include parents and students of Moms for Liberty. So get it together. My second topic, I am also the face of someone who would have been the recipient, my children would have been the recipients of Tier 1 opportunity scholarships for this year. The only reason why my kids are still in Wake County is due to a custody issue. Let me tell you why I wanted to leave Wake County. My children are smart kids. They are bored to tears in their school. It's a good school. Nothing against the school. I'm active in the school. I know the principals. But they are bored to tears. And they're in AIG. They are in SXA. But they are not getting the education that they deserve. Beyond that, it is not okay that I had to teach my 3rd and 5th graders about the electoral college in a presidential election year. I thought I'm not. They didn't learn that in school. How? And in my 5th grader, in the last couple of years, we have had indoctrination in what they are taught. In a book he read, socialism, where it's explained as just helping a neighbor out, helping them find out. This year, they read a book and talk about universal human rights. One of them was the right to life, which would define a beginning at birth, contradicting our religious beliefs. Then they talk about the right to move to another country. Come on now, everybody can just right move to a country. Okay, the right indoctrination is there. I'm also in a homeschooling group because I get homeschooled for a year. And let me tell you, every day people are wanting to leave Wake County. So get it together. It's not about the opportunity students. You're going to lose your money either way. You need to look inside of you.
Thank you, Ms. Chandler. Our final speaker is Marie Dexter, and she did leave. All right. Well, that concludes our public comment period. So at this time, I think we'll take a brief recess, and then before that, I guess, do we need a motion because we didn't go into closed session this time? So
Make a motion, we go into closed session for the reasons stated on the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Mahaffey to go into closed session for the reasons stating in the meeting agenda. Second from Mr. Swanson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll take a brief recess while we get assembled over there, and then we'll begin closed session. Thank you, everyone.